I am a party member in China and all my family are party members. What I think of Xi is that the life is really changing after he came to power. A relative of mine works for the government as a vital governor in my city Shenzhen, which is a big city like Beijing or Shanghai. Then all my family people are like in the hierarchy of privilege. We pay nothing when go out for dinner, the party pays. We pay nothing for filling in oil, the party pays. It seems like we don't need to pay for anything with our salaries cause either the party pays or someone will pay for us who wants to flatter us. I smoke the best, I drink the best, sometimes I even drive without license when drunk cause I fear no one. But life changed after Xi came to power. He did real thing on anti-corruption. No one dare to present gifts to governors and the abuse of public funds is strictly monitored. The party took back the public cars from my family. And now even we have to pay for the parking fee now. But my family and I are actually happy with this. We are thankful to President Xi. Cause he seems like dragging China to a healthier future. My relative doesn't need to go out for dinner with other governors as social intercourse daily. They don't need to drink so much on the table. And they start to learn to pay for the bill by turns cause the party will no longer do this for them. They start to learn how to take bus or metro. That's good actually. People start to think about what kind of lifestyle is called healthy. They are more like human now, no longer some conceited stupid with expanding power. That's how life changed after Xi came. Xi's also a tough guy, seldomly expresses his emotion on the face. He was born and raised in a red family. His father is a vital general following Mao before, but later he was convicted as criminal during Culture Revolution. Therefore, Xi suffered a lot when his youngster. Maybe you can check his bio in Wiki. Anyway, we like him. But we just can represent some kind of Chinese.
Most Chinese people respect him for his internal Chinese policy and economic policy, but we all do think he needs to do a lot more to safeguard China's security from the imperialists. I have a Jewish friend. He supports Otzma Yehudit, which is a radical Jewish party in Israel. Personally, I hate Otzma Yehudit. To me, they only care for extremist Jews, and they don't care about anyone else. They will step on anyone else to get their things done, including leftist Jews and Israeli Arabs, not to mention those who aren't in Israeli. Then again, I'm Chinese and don't give a shit about what Israel does. It has nothing to do with me. Just don't fuck with me or China or the Chinese people and we good. But you see, Jews like him who support Otzma Yehudit don't care anymore if they are liked or not. They care that they are feared. I wish China had a party like Otzma Yehudit. I wish China had a party that lets people know even if you don't like China, you better not fuck with China or Chinese people because we will kick your ass with a vengeance. I wish China had a party that tells Chino traders that if you don't like China, you can leave. I am to the right of Xi Jinping. I am a full-blooded, true Chinese-hearted man, and the world did shit when Chinese were being slaughtered in their own homeland by the British, the 8 countries, the USA, and raped in Nanjing by Japan, so we do not give a shit what the world who did nothing while millions were slaughtered thinks.
I am an ordinary person from China. Personally, I think Xi gives a positive image to the public. My father think what he is doing now is much better than previous leader. At least, most people support anti-corruption. We cannot predict that whether he will make a big revolution to China, but Xi give the public a hope that China can become better. On the other hand, not all changes is welcomed by the public after Xi came to the power. For example, most the young including me feel unhappy about the further blocking of Google, Instagram, online foreign movies and TV series. Some also think the anti-porn campaign that is still undergoing is not reasonable and makes no sense. Although we may not support or feel happy with all policies of the Gov and feel a little unfreedom than before, the majority of the people do not feel angry or despairing. The current Gov does more good than harm so far. Overall, Xi gives positive energy to us and we have high expectations to him.
I'm just thinking as a person who came from a meritocratic-based society. If Xi emerges from a system that rewards people that show results in governing, from village to commune to provincial and finally to the national level, then he must be damn capable, right? Imagine out of how many millions members of CCP you can be elected as the leader, you must be damn good in your track record when it comes to governance. I'm sure he cannot afford to bribe so many cadres for those critics who view CCP through a Western-tainted lens, where influence peddling and bribing of politicians by corporate donors are common. In other words, Xi has earned his rights to be the leader.
We don't know. Probably very varied, not all in positive, not all negative. There are more than 1 billion Chinese citizens and there is no freedom to collect data on their opinions. But we can use proxies, such as the events when ex-Premier Li Keqiang passed away a while back. When he did, Chinese users of social media started sharing a song called Sorry It Wasn't You, a clear reference towards Xi and how they wish he passed away. This is not to say all Chinese despise their leader, far from it. Just that China is the same like all countries, some support the political leadership, some don't. Rich people usually do cause they benefit more from the system, poor people are either indifferent, opposed except for during extenuating circumstances. The exact number we'll never know since the CCP maintains a totalitarian dictatorship whose sole purpose is to uphold the power of the CCP. Wrong opinions are a threat to that power, therefore they are not allowed. Citizens know this, so would they even give their true opinion even if asked? No, they wouldn't. Citizens get to see carefully cured information to protect the power of the CCP as well. So if they were asked and did give their true opinion, would it be based on reality? No, it wouldn't. We will get to see the opinion of the Chinese during rare occasions such as with the song, or during some harsh days of the pandemic lockdown, or around those fateful days in 1989. China is a black hole, but unlike real black holes, sometimes a bit of light shines out.
According to the People's Daily, the official news source of China going back to Mao, all good Chinese people love Chairman Xi dearly. They recognize how amazing and handsome and generous he is, a truly benevolent man who never thinks of himself, just China and its people. All Chinese people also called him Big Daddy Xi since redacted, but did for a while, since every woman wants to be his next mistress. Naturally, the People's Daily would never lie. There is no such thing as a People's Daily journalist that lies, just ask them. The People's Daily makes it perfectly clear, all Chinese people fully trust and believe everything we report 100% of the time. So as you can see, it's impossible to argue with such bulletproof logic. Any attempt to do so makes you a Western imperialist that Chairman Xi and the CPC will soon lead China to destroy. It is only a matter of time. There is a basic rule in life. Any leader that needs his own news source to openly tell everyone he never thinks of anyone but his people, and any woman would proudly dive into his bed, is actually not all that liked by the people he leads. A lot of Chinese people are apathetic politically. That's just what happens when most people are simply not allowed to participate in major decisions for several decades going back to generations that are almost completely died off. You just don't have a choice, so go with the flow. Of course, there are people that like him and think he's a great leader, but it can be hard to really tell, because you are simply supposed to like him. Criticizing CPC leaders is actually not as bad as it once was, in the days of Mao and the Gang of Four. But you can still get in big trouble if you're too harsh, thus many, especially older adults, would just rather not do it. We place a much higher value on our elders than most Westerners, and we generally do what they tell us and give no back talk. Dear Wu Mao, Chairman Xi, and the People's Daily, the message from all good Hong Kongers who are not traitors like Jackie Chan is, locusts go back home to your 20 mothers.
If the West loves your national leader, then most likely your country is getting fucked or is going to get fucked soon. Just keep one thing in mind, the West sees the world as a zero-sum game. Under such a theory, the West sees everyone as a potential competitor or even enemy. Under what circumstances would you prize your enemy? The answer is when your enemy is screwing themselves, just to encourage them keep going. What should you do when your enemy is doing better and better? Smear those who are making your enemy better. This is why the West likes Mahatma Gandhi but hates Mao Zedong. Gandhi didn't change the situation of India, which is a primary material and cheap labor source, and this is exactly how the West prefers India to be. The West likes Javier Milei because he's willing to sell anything Argentina government has in a low price. The West doesn't like Lula da Silva because not only he's not willing to sell his country, but he also collaborate with Russia and China trying to make Brazil out from manipulation. Hence they appear very differently on Western media.
Chinese think Xi Jinping is better than the past 10 U.S. presidents put together. So Biden, Trump, Obama, Bush Jr., Clinton, Bush Sr., Carter, Reagan, Johnson. Every one of these 10 presidents add up helped the U.S. to grow slower in real income compared to Xi Jinping alone. He alone reduced real poverty more than these 10 presidents put together. What do the Chinese people think? They don't think they know the U.S. political system simply don't work. They think that China do not need to lift even a finger. The U.S. will implode on its own. I don't blame them. The truth that really hurt the Yanks. Does the rest of the world think the same? You bet. Of course, the dog nations of the U.S. plus its slave vassal states. The dogs and the slave vassal are not allowed to have an opinion. China overtook the U.S. life expectancy in 2021 and repeated in 2022. China has built 50,000 kilometers of high-speed railway lines. The U.S. could not build 100 kilometers after 10 years.